Hey, you know what time it is? It's time for a short clip from the main show. We hope you enjoy this.
So this little effervescence or bout of effervescence that we're seeing from the market might be a little illusory at the
Mm-hmm.
moment. If you're for those looking at the Asia Pacific area, it's a pretty decent day. Nothing too big. The Taiwan Stock Exchange again is the one performing the best, up 2%, but everything else except for the Nikkei, which is close to 2%, is between 0 and 1% improvement, or a slight decrease, like less than 1/10% on the Shanghai Composite. In Europe, everything is up across the board, but just moderately so. Ooh, Lola.
She's very vocal this morning. I don't know what
Yes.
is like
Lola,
super,
Lola,
super
not
vocal.
impressed by the stocks today.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm
In
trying to
Europe,
fix that there.
everything's from slightly up, like 6/107% on the FTSE 109 at the Stocks 50, all the way up, all the way up to 0.88 from Italy. So pretty much treading water there.
Yeah.
And for the implied opens for North American stock market, slightly down, 0.4% down for the Dow, 0.15% for the S&P, 0.2% for the Nasdaq futures. So that's a day that could go either way at the moment. No real way to tell here. Gold has been flying all over the place. If you see a gold chart there was a day this week that it went up uh, over $100 in one, like on the, yeah, that's what, the 20th here. So the 21st, between the 20th and 21st, it went up from 33.20 an ounce to 35.20 an ounce, which is a
Hmm.
record high by far, by far.
Mm-hmm.
And then plummeted all the way down to 32.60 an ounce, and then back up to 30. So this thing, but gold is overall over the last while has just been, that's the flight, that really has been the flight to safety for everyone. It has been gold, gold bullion, and even a little more risky, but gold stocks. And of course, you have like the seniors and the juniors and those that are a little more um, at the beginning of the process, right? So you can get in at various stages when you're talking about to buying gold companies, so the larger cap or the smaller caps, but all of them are doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
So usually flight to gold, when everybody's running to gold at the same time, that's a little concerning, a little bit. But yeah, gold is just going off the charts lately. Um, Before we get into the major part of today's show, I have to issue a gentle correction on
Mm-hmm.
myself. Kids
Yes,
and
I
cubs.
understand.
I gave a bit of a misinformation.
I
Definitely
was you sent me the note, but I'm like, I don't know what you're correcting. So,
Yes, don't worry. The reason I gave you the note, I asked you to send the note, is because there's a uh, certain part in the correction that it was something I didn't mention on the show, but I put some notes in the show notes for yesterday, that if there
mm,
was time or if it came up, to mention it.
mm-hmm.
And something came up in the news that made this thing come up. And I was like, oh, darn. I was like, see, I told you. Didn't I note that? So I wanted to just bring it up, and you will see what Mr. Grizzly will see what it is when we pop it up. But I was talking about Polyev um, getting himself into some trouble this way, particularly fiscally,
Mm-hmm.
because he had refused help
Mm-hmm.
from people who had the skills. Because Pierre has no economic background, right? Hasn't held a real job
Zero.
in an economic portfolio, hasn't held an economic portfolio in all the time he's been in government.
Although he liked to tell us he was housing minister,
Yeah.
and 200,000 houses were built, which was that's a complete fallacy. None of that is true.
Yes. 3,472 houses were built. Only six of them were fall into the category of affordable housing,
Mm-hmm.
as that he is somewhat responsible for. And during that year, total 200,000 units weren't built at all.
Correct.
It was like
Yes.
194,000 or something like that.
Yeah, so it's, he's
Again,
always got to round up to make things look bigger.
yeah, from 3,472 to 200,000. Again, size queen.
Yeah.
Just saying. Um,
Somebody needs a little blue pill.
So we're going to show you two little clips here, and they will help you understand why it is I'm making this gentle correction.
Okay. You have them? I don't. I'm trying to find the clips. Hang on.
Right under Note to Self, it says for clips, there's a YouTube address, and then there's
Oh,
the
yes.
two
Yeah,
concepts are
I
right
do.
under.
Yeah, I've got that queued up. Okay, here
Yeah.
we go. All right, so let me just bring this up. And
So this is from yesterday's Power and Politics.
It started to play right away. I don't even know what happened. Just a second here. I got something popped up strange on my screen. I pulled the clip up and it started to play immediately. I'm like, no, I don't want you to do that. And there was no sound, so it was being uncooperative to say the least. Okay, I got to back it up a bit because the start point is not accurate. So here we go. Just play it, and again, it did that. I don't know what it's doing here. Let's try.
Someone like Gérard Deltel could be an excellent spokesperson for the conservatives in Quebec, but just kind of low profile, not doing a lot of stuff. Everything is about the leader, and it all lives and dies with him.
Well, he's been disappeared from the map. I'm wondering if he's still running. We haven't heard from him since the election campaign started. It's a bit silly because you're running for office, but you're running away from answering questions. Democracy is about answering questions because you want to run the affairs of the nation. But if you don't have the courage to answer those questions, well, just stay home. That's my personal opinion. And we've seen that in Quebec a lot also. Candidates were invited over and over from the Conservative Party, but they all said no. And it's a sad story because, as you mentioned, Gérard Deltel is a very efficient communicator, very effective. He can sell the message, but he's not allowed to do it. So what does it leave Mr. Deltel to do? Just stay silent and not participate in any debates. And that's unfortunate because Mr. Deltel and many other Tory MPs in Quebec, they can sell the message, but they're not allowed to do it. So it's a bit silly season to me.
Yeah, David, I think there's going to be a reckoning after this election campaign if the Liberals win a majority. You've had not only the control, the way MPs and candidates have been treated like children, but there were 90 ridings that Jenny Byrne had kept to herself and selected people, and that has really gotten the craw of a lot of people who felt the Conservative Party should be grassroots. They should be nominating and electing people. It's the treatment of people like Doug Ford and Jean Charest and Mike DeYoung in British Columbia, people who could have been real assets for the Conservative Party. And then also where they had an opportunity, and we've all heard stories about high-profile and experienced former cabinet ministers who were prepared to run for the Conservative Party and were rejected. And now you wouldn't be able to name who would be the finance minister in a Poilievre government. It's been a one-man show. And I think at the end of this, when this campaign is over, and if they lose, I think there's going to be a lot of very unhappy Conservatives who are going to be voicing a lot of criticism about the leader and his campaign manager.
Well, Mia, on Bob's point, I had thought that Mike DeYoung might be the finance minister in a Carney government because he was the finance minister, in a Poilievre government. Bob planted that in my head. But, here we are. The purity test and the loyalty test got applied. And then the not dealing with the media thing. And look, I know people say this is all, you're making it about you and it's inside baseball. They're losing with boomers and people over 50. Guess who watches shows like this at critical mass? It's boomers and people over 50, of which I am one. So,
Yeah. Bingo.
Okay. Now, the first person they mentioned in all of that was Gérard Deltel.
Mm-hmm.
But I told you to look at the notes from yesterday. Who am I talking about in those notes?
Gérard Deltel. I don't know. I'm lost. I'm
Okay.
lost.
No worries.